Hello friends, very good morning to all of you. So we are in PF30 and today we'll discuss about the workflow of implicit grant, and then we're going to register the client in PingFederate, and the third thing is just the way we are testing in Postman. Okay, so let's begin and we can just do this. PF30 we can discuss implicit grant. So before discussing the workflow and the registering of the client in PingFederate and going for testing, let's quickly discuss. Maybe you heard there is a news about implicit grant by the OAuth groups that it's not recommended to use anymore. If you have already if you have implemented implicit grant for your application, then you can go for another option like as a authorization code flow with the PKC that we have discussed previously. So you can just opt that, and if you're planning to implement implicit for any new application, then it's not recommended anymore. Okay, so let's try to understand what is exactly implicit grant and why there is a risk here and why it's not recommended. So before going for the workflow, let me just tell you. So implicit grant is basically a simplified authorization code flow optimized for the clients, implemented in a browser using a scripted language such as JavaScript. So if you remember that we discussed about application, right? Web application, in browser based application, native application. So there we have discussed in the browser based application that can go for the implicit, and that's basically designed also earlier. And I just shown you that how to choose the grant type, right? The choosing how to choose the grant. So there also I have just shown you that in the flow chart. So it's basically it's mainly for the JavaScript app, and in the implicit flow, instead of issuing the client as an authorization code that we have seen in the authorization code flow, the client is issued an access token directly. Okay, so there is no exchange of authorization code. Instead of that, you are getting an access token directly from the authorization server, and the grant type is implicit. So as no intermediate credentials such as authorization code are issued, and you can directly obtain access token using using the implicit grant flow. The authorization server does not here authenticate the client. In some cases, the client identity can be verified by the redirection URI used to deliver the access token to the client. An access token may be exposed to the resource owner or other applications with access to the resource owner's user agent. Implicit grants basically improves the responsiveness and efficiency of some client, such as client implemented as an in-browser based application, as we discussed, since it reduces the number of round trips required to obtain access token. So yeah, that responsiveness is definitely it's reduced here. But yeah, again we need to just however, you can say this convenience should be weighed against the security implications of using implicit grant. So you need to definitely consider the security also. So as you can see, this workflow diagram, this is JavaScript apps. It just resource owner is trying to access login that. So it basically directed the resource owner to the authorization server endpoint, PingFed authorization server endpoint, with these parameters like response type token, grant implicit, client ID, scope, redirect URI, and then authorization server will simply just redirect a user to the login and authorization prompt, and then the consent, as we have seen. Once consent is done, you will directly getting access token from authorization server. So the responsiveness and the definitely reduce the time and all, but here it's kind of a risk, because here the authorization server is not authenticating the client, the JavaScript app basically, that we have understand in the previous flow, in the authorization code flow or in the PKC flow. There is authentication of client is happening, but here there is no authentication. It directly just issued the access token. Once JavaScript have the access token, now it can just use the API. Call the API, as we have seen in other flow also. So it's basically you can see here the flow is very straightforward, very simple. But yeah, that it's creating a risk. That's why it's not recommended anymore. For the new applications, or you have already implemented for the previous application, you need to opt for the PKC authorization code with PKC flow instead of the implicit grant. Okay, now let's quickly go to the PingFederate and let's quickly register the connection, and then we can quickly have a test. So let's go to auth, click on add client, put the client name as a implicit grant. Okay, give same thing as a name here, client authentication as a none only in this case, and then you have the redirect URI. Just enter the same thing that we are entering, the postman callback address. Click on add, bypass authorization, we don't need the consent, and in the allowed grant type choose implicit. Okay, you can see there is an implicit option. Choose the implicit, and then you have just choose the access token manager as a test ATM what we have, and leave the default option as it is. Okay, no need to make any changes. Go to next, and then define the app authentication level as a HTML form OpenDJ, so that it can just authenticate user using that adapter that we have created in the past with using OpenDJ data store and the PCB. Okay, now it's done. Let's click on save. So connection is saved and it's replicated automatically. Now let's quickly jump to let me copy the client ID, it should be the implicit grant, and let's jump to the postman. Okay, now let's I'll not go to the another like implicit. Here we have the implicit in the collection. Yeah, you can see over demo implicit browser, but I'll just use the same connection. Okay, that's not an issue. I can change the token name as the implicit. Okay, and then choose the grant type as a implicit. Callback address is given. Auth URL, you have the same auth URL. Okay, no, there is no need of token address here. And client ID, you can just correct it. And then scope and state is not required, leave these all options, and then you can just clear the cookies and then hit get new access token. You'll get a login page. Just enter the ID and password. What is the ID that we are using? Abhishek Arts 211@identity.com. Enter the ID, enter the password, click on sign on, go back to the postman. The authentication complete, and click on proceed, and you have the access token in your hand. Just copy it. Is also tough to copy. Okay, it's copied finally. So your token type bearer expires in 359, access token URI, the client ID, client secret, client type implicit. Okay, client authentication is a header, timestamp, and all it's given. Okay, so token lifetime we have given, so that's why it's basically picking from there only. Okay, if you remember that we have the token lifetime what we have given there, if you can just go back to the OAuth and go to ATM, access token management, and then open this test ATM, you can able to see the 60 minutes the token lifetime, so only 1 hour the token is valid. Okay, now let's go back to jwt.io and let's quickly decode, and then we can jump to the next workflow. Okay, so let's copy paste. Okay, so you have the decoded form as a header, payload, okay, client ID, implicit grant, and the issue, pink learning, and all the information you can see. Okay, same as it is, and the verify signature. Okay, this looks fine. Let's jump to the next, that is, I think we need to cover PF31, that is ROPC. So let's begin there. So let's jump to that. Thank you.